Northern Country Forum today being brought to you by Banner Payson Medical Center, Hospitality Wireless, George Henry Plumbing, Heating and Cooling, ITD Group Computer Services, Anytime Fitness, and At Your Service Cleaning and Tree Service. Well, good, finally, Friday morning, 5 minutes past 9 o'clock, 77 degrees, and well, you know, normally we've got all of our movie guys, our hometown movie guys here, but Tina is, she's got some doctor things that she's taking care of today, and Andy, I understand, is down in Tucson, but Craig is with us in the studio from the Sawmill Theaters. How you doing?
Good, good. Just the movie guy.
The movie guy. Yeah, there you go. So now, as far as Sawmill Theaters go, you've got some interesting things going on, and we've got actually some really exciting things coming up that we want to let you know about, including those of you that like faith-based movies. The Sawmill Theater is going to be doing something really interesting very soon on that. We'll tell you about that coming up here in a little bit. But starting today at the Sawmill Theaters, Blinded by the Light. Bruce Springsteen's music inspires a Pakistani teenager to find his own voice and follow his dreams. And it's rated PG-13, plays at 1:30, 4:30, and 7:30. And this actually hit some other theaters, what, last week?
Yeah, it came out last week.
Yeah. How's it been doing so far?
Yeah, it did so nationally. The reviews were not too bad on it.
So Bruce Springsteen, I'm born in Pakistan.
Yeah, it's just a, like I said, a Pakistani teenager, and he's kind of going through some issues, and the music kind of inspires him and pushes him forward to follow his dreams.
So kind of a feel-good movie?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Uplifting. Yeah.
Rated PG-13, so it might be good for just about everybody. And speaking of movies that are good, especially for the kids, another one rated PG is the Angry Birds movie 2. And the first Angry Birds movie actually did rather well.
It did.
And you know, it's this, for people who aren't familiar with this, it actually was born out of a video game called Angry Birds.
Yeah, little phone app thing, yeah.
Yeah, and it's you know, it's one of those little, you know, video game doohickeys. But then they decided to make a movie out of it, and I remember when I first heard that going, really? You know, movie? But actually it did well.
It did do well, and this was done okay.
Yeah.
Not quite the response that the first one had, but...
This started last week here?
A couple weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, okay. And it's rated PG, plays at 1 and 3/10, so good one for the kids. Now, and if you think it's safe to go into the water again, there's another movie rated PG-13, 47 Meters Down. 4 teenage divers discover that the sunken ruins of a Mayan city are also a hunting ground for deadly great white sharks. This sounds like an uncomfortable movie.
Yeah, it kind of combines the fear of sharks and claustrophobia.
Ah, lovely.
So you can mix the two of them together.
That's nice.
They managed to pull that off. So,
yeah. And plays at 5:20 and 7:30, rated PG-13. And I don't know, it sounds like it could be kind of interesting. Now, this has also been in the theater now for a week or so?
A week, yeah.
And how's it done?
It's done okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's kind of this was actually a sequel. They did one last year, and you know, they said this when they took it into these caves underwater. So
right.
Yeah.
Boy, underwater and in a cave. Now, you know, but the only thing that would make it more uncomfortable is if your in-laws were there.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, in-laws. Also, on a brighter note, the movie Good Boys, this one's rated R. It's about 3 boys who ditch school and embark on an epic journey being hunted by teenage girls. Sounds like a win-win. It plays at 1, 3:10, 5:20, and 7:30. Again, this one is rated R. Is this, you know, one of these typical high school...
You know what? There's actually a little bit to it. They're 6th graders.
Oh, 6th graders.
6th graders, yeah. Not hitting high school yet.
Oh, no wonder they're worried about being hunted by girls.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the premise of it is they're going to a kissing party.
Oh,
so so they're all really nervous about that. And this movie's actually hilarious.
Really?
It's really funny. It was #1 last week in the box office. It's done okay up here in Payson. It is rated R. A lot of language in it.
Mostly potty mouthed stuff?
Mostly language, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And so, you know, it sounds like if you want to go out, just take a little break away from all of the other nonsense going on in the world and just have a good laugh.
There's some really good, I mean, laugh out loud things in this.
Some gut busters.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta love a good belly laugh. Also, the kind of a live action version of Dora the Explorer. Right?
Yes.
And that's Dora and the Lost City of Gold. Dora, a teenage explorer, leads her friends on an adventure to save her parents and solve the mystery behind the lost city of gold. It's rated PG, plays at 1, 4, and 7. How's this one going to do?
You know, not as good as I thought it was going to do.
Really?
Really, here or nationally, it just didn't really seem to catch. And it was a really popular, cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
I know my kid used to watch when he was little too, and just didn't really seem to go over. I mean, it's a PG film, good one for the family.
Right.
I'm not sure. It got decent reviews.
I'm trying to think, the original Dora the Explorer, I mean, that goes back quite a few years.
It does, yeah. It's been around for a while, and it just didn't seem to really kind of translate to the big screen, though.
Huh, interesting. And then one that I'm anxious to hear how it's going, another installment of the Fast and Furious epic sagas, Hobbs and Shaw. Lawman Luke Hobbs and outcast Deckard Shaw form an unlikely alliance when a cyber-genetically enhanced villain threatens the future of humanity. It's rated PG-13, plays at 1:30, 4:30, and 7:30. How's that been doing?
Number one.
Oh, yeah?
It started out that way. It's doing some bucks.
And how many Fast and Furious movies have there been now? Was it like 150
Well, this would
or
be this would be 9, I think.
9.
If you count this one. I mean, it's kind of a spin-off
Right.
of the original ones.
But it's, and obviously they're money makers if they keep making them.
It's crazy, yeah.
And I know most of these Fast and Furious movies, I mean, it's just, cars flying through the air and a lot of stuff that, I mean, kind of goes outside the realm of what most of us would think reality would be, whatever reality is.
Jumping cars from one skyscraper to another. Yeah,
Oh, you don't do that yourself?
thing, yeah.
Well, it's a lot of fun, great fun at parties. But it is, I mean, it's action-packed, it's great
Yes,
effects,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they keep you on the edge of your
Like you
seat.
said, that they all make money. Dwayne Johnson, actually, the highest paid actor in Hollywood at this point.
The
They
Rock.
Just saw that announced the other day.
The highest paid actor.
Yeah.
Wow, so he's even gone past all of these other guys that have been,
He does a lot of movies too.
well, that's true.
He's
He might not be the hiest paid per movie, but he's
right,
making
right.
more movies than
Yes,
anyone
yeah,
else.
Yeah, he does. He cranks them out.
All right. Now another interesting movie that I'd like to find out more about. Speaking of cars driving and stuff like that, this one is The Art of Racing in the Rain. A race car driver's best friend is a dog that wants to be reincarnated into a human. It's rated PG, plays at 1:15, 4:15, and 7:15. And I know in today's Pace and Roundup, Andy McKinney, in his review of this, said something to the effect of, "You're going to bawl your head off."
Yeah, bring the tissues.
Yeah, is that right?
It's,
Have you watched it?
I've not.
No.
No, I've not.
But
I see
everyone's walking out weeping,
Yeah.
blowing their nose.
Yes,
right?
yeah. A good PG movie. Everyone likes it. It has been doing really good up here, and but it does kind of have that. Dog movies can be.
Oh yeah. Well, and our dogs, I mean, they become part of the family. And then the sad thing about, I mean, I've had dogs my whole life, and the sad part of that is that they don't live very long. So you're just always having to do that goodbye thing, and that can be difficult. But it sounds like an interesting movie, The Art of Racing in the Rain. Again, that plays at 1:15, 4:15, and 7:15 at the Sawmill Theaters. Now, rounding out the slate of epic sagas at the Sawmill Theaters, The Lion King still playing. A young lion flees his kingdom and learns responsibility and bravery. Now, the original Lion King was an animated movie. This, too, is computer generated, but I've seen the trailer to this, and I mean, if you ever want to watch a movie that will make you think that lions can in fact talk, and even baboons and all of these other things, it's pretty epic.
Yeah, Disney's really bringing this animation together.
Right.
They did it with the Jungle Book. See the one, Cinderella.
Oh, yeah.
Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. These things they're kind of going through and redoing all these things. Even Aladdin to a point. With Will Smith as a genie, and
Right.
this thing's up over $1 billion. People have come out to see it.
The Lion King is?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Just
And
huge money.
over $1 billion. So this has been good locally as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's been here for a while now. We're
Close to a month, isn't it?
yeah. Actually, I think it came out July 15th.
Oh, wow. So we're over a month.
Over a month, yeah.
And people are still showing up to see it, so
Yeah,
obviously...
like I said, it has tapered off now. If
Right.
you don't like big crowds and you've been waiting
This
to see
is a
it,
safe time to
yeah,
see it.
you can start.
And that The Art of Racing in the Rain, the dog movie, that's also been here for a few weeks too.
It has too.
And so if
yes.
you want to, be able to go to a movie and, sob out loud and not bug everybody, now might be your chance.
It's getting there. Yeah, it's starting to slow down also.
Always a lot of great things playing at the Sawmill Theaters. Now, we have to take a quick break, and when we come back, there are some exciting things that are about to happen at the Sawmill Theaters. Of course, they're always involved in different, fundraising events and helping out charitable causes, and they're doing that. But there's something else coming up relative to those of you that, I know we get a lot of phone calls here about, different faith-based movies, and are they going to be here, and you've been doing a great job of bringing them in. But they're going to take this to a whole new level, and we're going to tell you all about that right after this.
George Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and
I watched The Good Boys in Hollister when I was there, and I almost walked out of all the dumbest movies I have ever seen.
Really?
It's like the producers are doing their level best to convince everybody, including high schoolers and sixth graders, that sex is the #1 thing on their mind. In the sixth grade, kids are scared to death of women.
Well, I know when I was in sixth grade, that wasn't, it wasn't something I was thinking a lot about.
No, me neither.
Well, that was kind of part of the movie. I mean, they did kind of play on that. I mean, at the end of it, they're playing Spin the Bottle, and it's just, you see the kids, and they all just got this terrified look on their face.
Don't point at me.
Yeah, like, oh no.
At the end of it, they're hanging in a sex chair in somebody's bedroom.
Wow, that progressed. From Spin the Bottle to the Taiwanese love basket or whatever they are.
One kid's parents are kind of freaky. They're on the swing, and the sister comes in and goes, "What are you guys doing on that? That's a sex thing. People do sex on that."
And the kids all look horrified.
It is definitely rated R. There's a lot of.
And the worst of it is, the F word was every third word.
Yeah, see, if you have to dump out to foul language,
I mean, they called the movie raunchy, and that was the only raunchy thing in the whole movie.
really.
Really, was the F word, every third word.
Yeah, to me, that's a sign of cheap writing.
Yeah.
And I say that like I know what I'm doing.
Well, that was all Seth Rogen.
Oh, okay.
Seth Rogen and his Evan Goldstein or something is his partner, but
Did I tell you can lower your bill to something that's affordable again?
I think they spent $20 million making it, and it made $21 million the first 3 days.
468-00.
Yes, there's a market.
I think I'm jaded.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm jaded.
We just got old on them sometimes.
Yeah.
Hospitality Wireless.
Welcome back to Rim Country Forum. Talking this morning with our hometown movie guy. Craig is with us from the Sawmill Theaters. Again, if you enjoy tuning in and listening to us talk about movies here on Fridays, Tina and Andy couldn't be with us. They'll be back with us next week. But in the meantime, I'm still trying to carry the torch forward and talking about everything going on at the Sawmill Theaters. And one of the things that you, Craig, you were telling me about before going on the air this morning, I think is a bit of brilliance, really. Much like the classic movie Saturday, which is the first Saturday of every month, and we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. But you're also going to be doing something else on another Saturday of the month, and that is bringing in faith-based movies.
Faith-based movies, we're going to call it the Faith Film Festival.
So one Saturday a month, there'll be a different faith-based movie.
What we'll do is the third Saturday of each month, so we'll break that off, a couple weeks away from the classic movie.
Mm-hmm.
But third Saturday of each month, we'll bring in a different faith-based film. We'll do the same thing, 10 o'clock in the morning, just $5 to get in. And what we're looking at there is, sometimes these faith-based movies are a lower budget and smaller studios, and we're not always able to get them up here right away when they come out.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at bringing some of these back and giving everyone a chance to see them on the big screen.
Well, you would think that even though they're lower budget and stuff, that maybe they don't make much money, but it seems like there's a real hunger for this because the last few that have come out really haven't done all that bad.
Right. Well, like I said, it's partially pacing. We're a smaller market.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the population that they want to send these movies up here.
Right.
We are looking at Overcomer. I've had a lot of people ask about that. That's another one of the Kendricks brothers.
Okay.
They're the ones that did War Room,
Right.
Fireproof, Courageous, I think, too.
Right.
That's coming out, actually opening today. We are hoping to get that next Friday.
Wow.
But we're not really locked into that yet, but we have talked to the company, and so we'll find out Monday morning if we're going to get that or not. That's what kind of brought this up was again, these movies that a lot of people want to see, and sometimes we're just not able to get them that way, so
Mm-hmm.
we're going to look at bringing them in later.
Real quick on a side note here, it's if you ever wanted to look at the what's going on in the background here on Fridays when we're talking with your hometown movie guys, you can always go to YouTube and look up the Don Klein channel. And Don Klein with us in the studio here, he's just lurking in the background with his camera. but he's always videotaping this and then posting it up to YouTube, so you can kind of see what goes on during the commercial breaks, and hopefully he edits out anything inappropriate. But he just handed me a note and said the movie Alone But Not Alone, said it's an excellent faith-based true story. Have you heard about this one?
I'm not, no.
That's kind of interesting. And I wonder, you know, when it comes with a focus on just faith-based movies, have you looked at, you know, what kind of a library exists of that kind of thing as far as?
Sure, well, we're going to start with War Room.
Right.
That'll be our first one on September 21st, I think, 22nd, whatever that Saturday is there. We'll start with that one. You know, another one that we had a lot of requests for was Unplanned. That was the anti-abortion film that came out here about 6 months ago. I had a lot of people request that one. We weren't able to get it up here, but we are going to do that in January.
In January?
Yes, yeah, that'll be our January film for that one. But
I think the mayor was asking about
yes,
that.
yes, he was.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we will get that. But like I said, that's kind of what we're going to try to do there is fill in some of these. And some old ones, we did play War Room up here at the theater.
Right.
We want to do Fireproof.
Oh, that's a good one.
I don't think we had Fireproof up here. I don't have Courageous on the list. Courageous we did play. I know we did get that one up here.
Right.
So some of these are kind of, you know, hit and miss, like you said, on these, and we try to get them up here, but we can't always do it, so we're going to
Excellent.
fill it in this way.
I think it's a great idea. Now, you're doing the same thing that that you're doing with the Classic Movie Saturday, as far as it being a reduced rate?
$5,
$5.
$5 and 10 o'clock in the morning.
All right. So, and most of these are probably what, 2-hour movies?
Yeah, yes.
Roughly.
Yeah, we're gonna try to avoid, you know, you get things like the Ten Commandments and
Show up on Thursday.
Yeah,
The show's
yeah.
over on Saturday. Yeah.
yeah, we'll try to avoid some of the more epic things, but
Right.
you know, we'll look at some of these things. You know, we've talked a little bit about, you know, Passion of the Christ.
That's it. You know, the thing about the Passion of the Christ, the movie, is, and that I loved about it, it's very hard to watch, because when you think about somebody being, you know, flogged with a lead-tipped whip, and the fact that chunks of flesh are flying through the air when this is happening, and then being nailed to a cross and being, you know, crucified. I mean, that's about as horrific as things could probably get. But they did an astounding job of bringing the reality of that sacrifice to the film.
Yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful
Yeah,
thing.
it was very moving, and it was a little hard to watch.
Yeah, very tough. But it also, I think, brought the reality of, you know, what a sacrifice that was.
Sure,
I mean,
yeah.
it's
Definitely,
and I think
definitely.
that speaks, regardless of the level of faith people have, if they watch that, I think it's got to be impactful.
Yes, definitely.
I love the idea of the Faith Film Festival. What do you call it?
Faith Film Festival.
I like it. Triple F.
Yes.
And that's on the third Saturday. By the way, the third Saturday of September is the 21st. And that's when you're starting this?
Yes, 21st.
Okay. And now, the other thing we want to mention here real quickly is that the first Saturday of the month, which in September will be September 7th, that's the Classic Movies Saturday, where you do the same thing. $5, you get to go in and see a classic movie on the big screen again. This coming September 7th, what's the classic movie you have on tap?
Legends of the Fall.
Legends of the Fall. Wow.
Is, yeah, old Brad Pitt film.
How many years ago was that, roughly?
Oh,
I'm trying to remember.
2002?
So it goes back a ways, 17 years ago.
It's been, yeah, it's been a ways back there.
Wow.
Just a great film, though.
Mhm.
It really is a great film. A lot of amazing scenery in the film, and definitely a tragedy, I guess.
And if you would like to have a voice in what classic movies are brought to the Sawmill Theaters, you're still polling the audience, asking them what they'd like to see the following month?
That's how we got this one, yeah.
Right.
Usually we come up with 3 or 4 ideas and kind of discuss it with everyone and let them vote, and we decide that way.
Right. And so anyone stand up and go, Animal House!
No.
No, sorry.
Not yet.
Look at me, I'm a zit. Yeah. Anyway,
That would be a good one.
you know, they can't make movies like that anymore. People would, you know, everyone gets offended, you know, by everything.
We did Blazing Saddles.
And I love the fact that that kind of stuff can still be brought in. I love a good belly laugh. It's always nice
Yes.
for me. Hey, we got a caller on the line. Let's go to the phones. You're on Rim Country Forum. Good morning. Hi there. Oh, very good. How are you?
How much I appreciate that he always put the thing on bullying before the movie. that is such an awesome thing for our kids. I take my grandkids there, I go there, and they always have a conversation about that when we leave. It is just so awesome that you do that. You are my only movie theater because of that.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's a
Yeah, that's a Payson Community Kids, I believe, a message from them.
oh, wow.
So,
You know, and you bring up a great point, caller, in that, I mean, aside from movies and everything, I mean, that's a point that needs to be made more and more, that, you know, bullying, you know, that can't be tolerated. People need to, and that's, you know, something that's been going on forever, and to one degree or another probably will, but we need to be reminded that that kind of behavior doesn't have a place. And thank you for calling. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. All right, 25 past the hour now. Again, don't forget that the classic movie on the first Saturday of September, and it's at 10 o'clock also, or is it 9?
10 o'clock,
10
yes.
o'clock, is Legends of the Fall, so a chance for you to see that on the big screen again. And I think that's one of the coolest things about the, you know, the classic movie thing is that, you know, nowadays it seems like, you know, if you weren't able to see something in the theater, then you're relegated to, you know, renting or buying the DVD and watching it at home. And although I've got a pretty good sized TV at home, it just doesn't hold a candle to being in the theater with the great sound system and the huge screen and all that.
Some of these on the big screen are kind of necessary, and you know, Legends of the Fall is one. Like I said, the cinematography is just amazing on this, and yeah, I think some of the older ones too. You know, to see, you know, Humphrey Bogart, you know, up that way, it's
Right.
it's different. It does make a difference on the film.
I know, what was it, Gone, was it Gone with the Wind? It was one of the classic that you had that I went and saw. I think it was Gone with the Wind. I can't remember now. I can't remember Tuesday for that matter. But I mean, it's something really interesting to go see some of these classics back on the big screen. It's just a lot of fun, and you've been getting some huge crowds. I know when I went to see Gone with the Wind, I made the dorky mistake of getting there kind of like right before the show started, and I was up in the front row.
You know, that's actually only happened a couple of times. We've got a pretty good group of about 60 to 70 people that come in.
Nice.
Which is, you know, I think about perfect for that theater then too, you know, where it's not, you know, terribly crowded, but still,
Well, I
still
think-
plenty of people showing up.
I think your idea of the third Saturday of the month doing the Faith Film Festival, I think that's going to bring a lot of people.
Yeah, you know, we're always kind of, you know, I have no idea either. You know, until it happens, you just don't know how Payson's going to respond to these things.
Now, didn't you do a thing, conversely, let's just switch over to the other side of the galaxy here real quick. Didn't you recently do the Rocky Horror Picture Show at night? I mean, that's...
Completely opposite.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope you didn't get whiplash with that question there, but
We did, yeah, you know, and we did a 10 o'clock showing of that, and
how'd it go?
it didn't, we had, I think, 25 people.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, you know,
It's
Payson's...
not quite the cult following that it used to have, at least in Payson.
You know, I was a little surprised. You know, we posted stuff on Facebook and had a really good response to it, but then the people didn't show up.
Mhm.
And like I said, that is kind of, you know, I've been in Payson for 26 years, running the theater for 15 years, and,
Right.
and I still just, you just don't know.
Good, you got to stick your toe in the water once in
Well,
a
yeah,
while.
you know, we do fundraisers, and you know, you think you're going to have a big crowd, and sometimes 30 people show up, and
Right.
sometimes 300 show up, and you just don't know.
And speaking of fundraisers, you know, you always get behind so many great causes, and you have a blood drive coming up. And people, if you haven't been paying attention, there's a huge need for blood. You know, with all kinds of, you know, whether it's an accident or cancer patients, or there's a lot of different reasons why people need blood transfusions, and there's a huge need for people to donate blood, and you have an opportunity for people to do that coming up.
Yeah, 31st. It's August 31st.
August 31st.
Last.
That'll be the last Saturday of this month.
Yes, yeah, there we go. Yeah, week from tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, we're sponsoring a blood drive out in front of the theater. They'll have their, you know, they bring that big van in.
The Bloodmobile.
Yeah, it's like an RV, I guess.
Right.
But they'll be setting up right there in front of the theater, and we'll be giving out movie passes.
Cool.
Come see a free movie, so you can go give some blood, and then if you want to come in and sit down for a little bit and
What?
kind of relax afterwards and watch a film.
Can't overstress enough how big the need is. I know we had a blood drive down in Tonto Basin earlier this week, and had to stop in there and make a donation. For a lot of years there with the overseas travel that I've been doing, when they heard, oh, you were there, we don't want your blood. And now that it's been a few years since the last trip out to crazy places, they've decided I'm safe again. Okay, he's not dead, he must be okay. Anyways, there's a huge need. Side note to that, they also have two different ways. The standard way you can donate and something else that, if I remember correctly, they call what, Power Red or Red Power or something like that. But they actually take, they hook you up to a different kind of machine, and they'll take just your red blood cells. They take a little bit of blood. It has an internal centrifuge that separates the red blood cells. So they keep the red blood cells. You get your plasma and all that stuff back, and it takes a little longer. But I'm O negative, which is a universal donor, and they said that with my donation it would be used before the week was up, and that's how significant the need is. So just a good reminder that get involved with that blood drive at the Sawmill Theaters a week from tomorrow.
Yeah,
Really
that's in the morning.
It's in the morning.
8 a.m. to 9, I believe they're going to be out there.
And then after they donate blood, they can come in and watch a movie.
You can watch a movie for free, yes.
Gotta love that. And so they get to watch any movie they want?
Yeah.
Wow.
Anything.
You guys are awfully agreeable.
Yeah, well, you know, we got the farmer's market
Right.
going on down there at the theater too. You know, it's every Saturday and in the morning time too, so
Right.
a lot of good stuff going on there.
Now, we have to take a quick break. When we come back, if I can get you to hang out just a little longer,
Sure.
we'd like to talk about, you've got for people that like horror movies, I mean, the really scary stuff, Stephen King's at it again. And you're gonna have one of these coming up real soon, right?
He's got a couple things coming up, but yeah, one here on September 5th.
All right, and we're gonna tell you about that right after this.
This weather is being brought to you by Rim Country Power Sports.
Just
and Star
cruising right through it.
Your knowledgeable Rim Country dealer for ATVs, side-by-sides, trailers, outdoor, and power equipment.
Your KMOG Rim Country weather forecast.
You
for
must
this
be a ham radio operator as well.
It'll be sunny and windy in Rim
And,
Country today. Winds gusting around 18 miles an hour with our daytime high right around 90 degrees in Payson.
No, I
81
have
the
this, but thank
expected
you.
high up on top of the rim. And our neighbors to the
Sorry,
south
I'm in the
in
video
Tonto
business.
Basin and those of you
I
heading
don't
out to
often need to
Roosevelt
call
Lake,
it videographer.
your high on this Friday, 102 degrees. Well, it looks like things are going to stay dry, but there are some
What are
showers
we
in
doing
the
with this rain
forecast.
thing? This
We'll
is
tell you when you
crazy.
can
The rain?
expect those.
Yeah, and we were supposed to have a chance tomorrow, and now that's out of the forecast. And now this next Thursday, they're talking about a chance. But the one thing I thought was interesting this morning is humidity was up and the dew point was up. But there's supposed to be a bunch of breezes this afternoon. If you have wind, you're not going to get the convection. So maybe if the breezes subside a bit, maybe we'll get some convection and actually cook a thunderhead up. I'm, especially down in Tonto Basin, I would really like some rain down there, cool things off a bit.
It kicked me out of United Blood Services when I started taking blood thinners.
Yeah, my wife is, she's on Xarelto, and she had a pulmonary embolism a few years ago, and so she's on blood thinner the rest of her life, and they don't want her blood anymore.
Line expert
I've got an
services right
AFib.
here at Payson. My name's Steve Thompson. I'm a registered nurse.
Yeah, it's,
I've been in
I
Payson
figure if they're
for 12
brave enough
years.
to take my blood, I'm brave enough to give
Payson
it.
Medical Center as a perioperative
There had
nurse
been
for 14
Mine's
One of the places like Mozambique and Haiti and places I've been in India and Indonesia, they, all you gotta do is just say one of those words and they, there's the door.
Wide range of services, including
Okay, we got 20
colonoscopy,
seconds.
cardio repair, breast surgery, system lump removal.
I'm just making this up as we go along. You don't have it, you're not in a big hurry to leave?
Yeah.
I'd still like to ask people their favorite horror movie. I've always gotta make sure I get both syllables in there,
Aliens.
because there's a lot of horror movies too.
Aliens.
Welcome back to Rim Country Forum. 28 minutes in front of 10 o'clock, 78 degrees. Again, looking for that high today of 90. This morning on Rim Country Forum, again, Tina and Andy not able to be with us this morning, but Craig from Sawmill Theaters with us and talking about all the great things going on at the Sawmill Theaters. And as we were mentioning just before the break there, Craig, people that are into Stephen King movies. And Stephen King, I've often thought it would be interesting / creepy to have an evening of, sitting down, maybe, having dinner and a couple of drinks and just trying to, figure out what makes him tick. Because, boy, he writes some dark, twisted stuff.
Yeah, there's some weird things going on in his head, for sure.
Kind of wondered, what was it like when you were growing up, boy?
Yeah, some kind of twisted stuff, for sure. And one of the big ones was It.
Mm-hmm.
Pennywise the Clown. We had the first one come out last year, which did huge numbers. And we've got the second one coming up. The final, It was kind of broke into two parts where the kids grew up, where when they were young they faced off against Pennywise.
And this is
And
a
then,
weird,
this
creepy
is-
clown.
Yes, very weird and very creepy. But now the second part is when they grow up and the clown comes back and they have to go back to Derry to fight the clown. Yeah.
Wow. There's some people, I think, some of the brilliance behind Stephen King is that he knows the things that get under your skin. I mean, there are some people that are just really creeped out by clowns.
Yes,
And I don't know, I've never really had that particular feeling myself, but I've known a few people that just, they're very, very creeped out by clowns.
yeah. Well, this one's September 5th, it comes out. It's a long one. It's gonna be just shy of 3 hours. We're probably gonna put it on 2 screens. I think we'll have to break it up that way. You know, with our run times, when you start pushing 3 hours, it's kind of hard to get even 3 shows in without, you know, us being there until 11 o'clock at night, so.
And have Stephen King movies, you know, they obviously have been, you know, huge moneymakers around the world, but here in Payson, they're pretty popular as well.
Yeah, you know, as far as horror movies go, you know, Payson's not real big on horror films, but the Stephen King stuff does okay. You know, we just had Pet Sematary.
Oh, right.
Was earlier in the year. That did pretty good up here too.
Now, was a remake of the original?
Yes.
And I didn't see the remake, but I remember the original was pretty darn creepy.
Yeah, you know, this one was pretty dark and fairly violent.
You know, one of the things that I have not heard anyone say, and of course I've not done any kind of scientific analysis on this, but you know, so often when it comes to movies that were originally a book, when people go and see it made into a movie, they're like, the book was much better. And I think a part of that is because, you know, what we can conjure up in our own minds, it, you know, can be a lot creepier than what maybe people can put on the screen. But I've not heard people say that about the Stephen King movies. I think they seem to be, you know, adequately creepy.
Yeah, well, you know, and I think he has a big hand in him. He likes to, you know, kind of approve of these things. That you know, I mean, the masterpiece was The Shining. You know, as far as horror films, yeah, probably the creepiest movie ever made. At least, you know, in top 5 anyway.
I would say it's right up there at the top of my list of ones that I've seen.
Sure, and that's the other one they're doing. Doctor Sleep is coming out in October. It's the kid from The Shining.
Right.
Is all grown up.
Right.
And he's kind of revisited in this nightmare.
Wow.
It's Ewan McGregor is going to be playing the kid, so that comes out in October. And again, that's Stephen King has his hand in that also. So.
And the 2 creepy girls, they're going to be in that one too?
You know what?
I've seen online that they grew up and one of them became Hillary Clinton. I'm just kidding. Please don't send anyone out. I don't want to hang myself today. But anyway,
or the Olsen twins.
Yeah, Olsen. Yeah. But you know, it's interesting the different little elements like that he uses to you know, to really get in the recesses of your psyche.
You know, and his movies are, like I said, they have been pretty good, and they don't always. So when you take a book and turn it into a movie, it doesn't always equate, but he's done pretty good with that stuff. But some of his books are, if you haven't read his books, you know, they're really pretty intense.
Yeah. And well, you know, good date movie if you want a movie that will you know, motivate your date to maybe latch onto you a little tighter. Then this might be just the ticket.
Yeah, well, we got those trailers up now for you know, for It, the second part of it. And,
even just the trailer, huh?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good one. They've seen it in California. They started doing some of the previews of it, and it's been well received. It's gonna be another good one.
I still would. I think I would like to meet Stephen King. I'm not sure.
Wasn't he doing a reading ghost stories a while back to like groups of kids?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was just
oh, yeah.
like
Let's take our young child to have Stephen King read a ghost story. Let's just, hey, but wear your diapers.
Yeah, I just remember that one. It's been a while back, but I think he was doing something like that kind of a little just event thing that he was doing.
Very interesting. Well, I know, you know, I'm not, although I've seen many horror movies and like The Shining and stuff like that, and I have to say that was, I think I've seen that a couple of times because it was just an epic horror movie. But I'm not real big. I've just seen enough horror in my life to last the rest of my life, and so that's not a big motivator for me. But I know my daughter and her daughter, huge horror flick fans. I mean, they really love that stuff, and I think there's a lot of people like that just like to get the heebie-jeebies scared right out of them.
It's a little bit like a roller coaster.
Yeah,
you know, you get that same thrill. You know, those jump starts like that.
Now I'll take roller coaster rides with the best of them, but anyway, so a lot of interesting stuff coming up the Sawmill Theaters, which prefaces the question this morning: your favorite horror movie of all time. And I know Don here in the background was saying, what was it, Alien?
Alien.
Yeah, Alien. Alien, that was a weird, creepy movie, especially when all of a sudden you got, weird, slobbery little things jumping out of people's chest and stuff. That was, at what point,
classic scene,
what are
yeah.
you drinking when you dream up something like that? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just some very strange stuff, but that movie was a real nail biter.
And that first one was 76 or 78?
Yeah.
And
I
the
mean, it's a
second
long
one
time
was, the sequel was nearly as
It
good.
was good, yeah.
No, it was better.
So I mean, I think a lot of people might agree that that's one of the better horror movies out there. I think what you said earlier, Craig, as far as the Shining, that's a pretty epic one.
We know in October for our classic movie, we try to take something that's
Halloween,
horror
right?
film, yes, yeah, coming up for that. So that's something we're gonna have to vote on here when we're watching Legends of the Fall. But The Shining would be one on there. I know we did Psycho a couple years ago, I think. But another big one is The Exorcist.
Oh man, now that I would say that's probably at the top of my list, and I don't because again, in the way I look at things, the reality of that is just really spooky stuff, and I've actually had a occasion to see how creepy some of that can be in real life, and so I that one really, I mean, aside from all the jokes about green pea soup and heads spinning around and all that, they did a really amazing job with that, and that was one also, that was from the 70s, wasn't it?
72, I think.
72,
it was, yeah.
wow.
And you're talking about The Exorcist, you like you said, you think about the spinning heads and all that, but that's one of the highest rated films of all time.
Really?
On Metacritic, that's like at a 98, I think, on there. So it was a very well made movie too, and
that many years ago.
Yeah, and that thing did huge numbers at the box office.
Right. And we'd like to hear from you. What do you think the best horror movie of all time is? I mean, what's the one that just scared the holy bejesus out of you? Give us a call, 474-2427. There's another one that just was remade recently, Carrie. And I don't know if they called the new one, if they just remade it and it was still named Carrie. I don't recall for sure, but they redid that one.
I think they used to carry.
And I remember that was a pretty
More Stephen King.
yeah. Oh yeah, there you go, Stephen King. Again, very unusual fellow, I'm sure. To the phones we go. 19 minutes in front of 10 o'clock. Hi, you're on Rim Country Forum. What's your favorite horror movie of all time? Good morning. Boo.
Rosemary's Baby.
Oh yeah, that was a big dollar producer back in its day, and that was the 60s, wasn't it? So was that at the top of your list as far as movies that just scared the wee wads out of you?
Their content was just, to me, horrifying, and I just, that to me was spooky, and then when I was really little, I saw the House on Haunted Hill, but I've seen other House on Haunted Hills, and they're not the same one. This one, my biggest sister was good enough to realize that her little baby sister was really getting scared, so she turned the volume off on the TV. Because if you don't have the scary music, it's not so scary.
And so many of those, especially the older ones, I mean, you can always tell that something's about to happen just by listening to the music.
There was one where somebody was peeping through an eye hole. Oh, the spiral staircase.
Oh, okay.
Oldie, but ooh, that scared the bewildered.
And going back into the dark ages like that, because I can relate, one of the other ones, Vincent Price, back when I was a kid, I'm trying to think, it was, no, what was the name of that movie?
The Tingler.
No, oh golly, it's on the tip of my frontal lobe. Anyway, Vincent Price, as a kid, that guy just creeped me out something fierce. And he's dead. But it's, I mean, there was, he was another one that just, I guess he got typecast. I mean, in between the beard, the face, and everything, he could certainly pull it off. But he just had he had that persona about him that just was creepy. Ah, yes. Hey, get to school. See you later. All right. And what do you think? A favorite horror movie of all time?
Vincent Price, Boris Karloff was another one that was kind of.
And that goes. Boris Karloff was way back.
Yeah, he had a face for the horror films.
Yeah.
The Raven. The Raven.
Oh, the Raven.
Oh, the Raven.
Yeah.
Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was a comedy horror film. Vincent Price and Boris Karloff opposing magicians fighting each other.
Wow.
Oh,
Vincent
wow.
Price and Boris Karloff
Oh,
made
wow.
a comedy of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. I got it. And what's it called again?
The Raven.
Oh, The Raven. Okay. I'm sorry. I'll pay attention next time. Hey, we have to take a fast break. We do have a caller in line, though. Before we do take a break, let's take one more call. Hi, you're on Rim Country Forum. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi there.
All right, now I'm going to tell you about my most scariest story, but a lot of it, of course, depends on your age. And it was at the Strand Theater in Phoenix, and I don't really think anybody even remembers that, or probably doesn't remember the movie, but it was called The Hand.
The Hand. That does sound familiar.
Yes.
What it was a story about a guy that died, and they cut off his ring, took his ring and put it in a jewelry box, and his hand would go around, creep around like a snake in this old capsule and strangle people. And of course they could play the piano, and what they did, they had the actor was in black, so it didn't pick up. It just looked like a white glove. But as a child, that was pretty scary.
Well, I do remember something about that.
Yeah, I do too.
And it's interesting, back then, it's before the days of green screen, they probably had to just filter it out light-wise by wearing black. That makes a lot of sense. Wow, that's, man, that's a trip down memory lane there. I'd forgotten all about that. Hey, we do have to take a break, though. Thanks for calling that in. Appreciate it. The Hand. And, at one point, I know what we'll do. We'll make a movie about a hand that chokes people to death and plays the piano.
Who can we get to clean our house?
Speaking of the Addams family.
Yeah, really.
There was. I remember that movie. It was
Or the
kind of creepy.
Munsters.
Yeah,
Brush and firewire.
and for some reason that the thing with Vincent Price just popped into my head. I remember as a kid that just scared the crap out of me.
Salem's Lot.
Salem's Lot.
1979.
I was just watching that. I wasn't that impressed with it.
My first horror movie I ever saw was
So that's about the Salem witch hunt thing, or?
No, there's another Stephen King.
Oh, it's another Stephen King flick.
Prophecy. I don't know if you remember that. It was about the mutated bear.
Oh yeah, yes,
That was my
yes.
first horror movie.
Oh yeah, that creepy bear. Yeah.
Also, Vincent Price.
It was a mutated bear.
Yeah.
For an affordable
Vincent Price also did The Tingler.
viruses and malware.
And that was an alien critter that climbed up on a person's back and took control of them through their
Okay.
spines. And in the movie, they had all the kids in the theater panicking because he was telling the audience that there was one of these critters moving around the theater.
Did he do House of Wax too?
Yes.
Yes.
House of
You'll
Wax.
find his
That's-
ad and a
and
link
I
to
think
his
that
website on
might be
our
the one that I'm
website,
thinking of, or was thinking of.
KMOTCountry.com.
Which reminds me, as a kid growing up in Phoenix, bizarre side note, I had heat stroke twice. One time, a buddy of mine and myself walked from about 36th Street in Osborne all the way down to Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, about 52nd Street in Van Buren, something like that. We tried hitchhiking down, no one would pick us up. Middle of the summer, sweating our butts off, getting down there. And we go in and you go through all of this weird macabre, stuff and everything. And the very last thing that you go through there is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, a little Disney thing, I get all the way through this whole thing. I get into where Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs are and pass out. I mean, I can handle all the, the horror stuff, but don't make me look at Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Yeah, that was a bad day. Fortunately, someone standing there decided, hey, I can give you a ride home. I thought that was helpful people. I started to learn how to manipulate those things way back then. Here we go.
Pricing, sales pricing,
5 seconds.
applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Office 3119.
Wow, a lot more responses to our question this morning. Favorite movies. Just during the break there, Michelle came in, talked about 1979 Salem's Lot. And that also was a Stephen King movie.
Stephen King, yeah. A vampire. Yeah, vampires.
Those suck. And I don't think I ever saw that one. Also, she mentioned a movie called Prophecy, and you seem to remember this one about a mutated bear.
Yeah, mutated bear stalking people out in the forest. Yeah.
Michelle was saying that was one of the first, I think, the first horror movie she ever saw, and it scared her.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. The freaky looking bear.
I know that I've mentioned here before the very first horror movie with my brother David and his girlfriend at the time, and this was back. It had to be in the 60s, but or maybe I guess it would have been early 70s. But took me to see the movie Ben. About that
the rat.
The rat, yeah. And despite the Michael Jackson little tunes playing, it was a very. I mean, just as a kid, that was one that left me thinking about being creeped out by rodents after that one. Now, one of the things that Don Klein here was saying is another Vincent Price movie was The Tingler. I don't think I've ever seen that one.
That's kind of jogging my memory too. I think I do remember that. You said where they were kind of aliens taking people over and...
Yeah, it was a slug that would crawl up on your back and infect your spinal column and control your actions.
Yeah, did it kind of stick out too?
Yeah,
so you could...
gave a hump on the back.
Yeah, I think I do remember that.
Yeah.
It was a sequel to Hunchback of Notre Dame.
40 years ago? Or
and that Hunchback of Notre Dame that wasn't really a horror movie, but that was a strange flick, speaking of...
I Am Legend is another one.
I Am Legend, Don says another one. Yeah, I think that's
Will
true.
Smith, yeah.
All right, we got another caller on the line. Let's take another one here. Hi, you're on Rim Country Forum. Good morning. Hi there.
We went to this old movie theater on Staten Island, New York. It was Empire Theater, and it was the spooky type that had like the cathedral ceiling and the little booths where you could sit, and it had the weird old candlestick lamps on the walls, and it was just creepy, that place. And House on a Haunted Hill with Vincent Price, and they had to stay in that house overnight to get money, I guess, or something like that. And all sorts of things were happening. But I cried through the whole movie, and my brother laughed.
Brothers are like that. I had 4 of them, 4 older ones. Yeah, it's interesting. Along with that, thanks for bringing it up. We were talking during the break there, speaking of Vincent Price. I think the movie that I was trying to think of, you mentioned, and that is House of Wax. Yeah. And I remember that, I mean, there's just a lot of, I'd forgotten about a lot of these movies until we started talking about it this morning, but ones that I had seen, in my much more formative years. It's weird how that stuff sticks around the back of your head.
And there was some too, those, some of the older ones with the black and white, you're keeping that stuff in black and white, it kind of, in some ways I think it adds to, a horror film. It kind of gives it that feel,
right.
It's kind of a, that old kind of creepy feeling to it.
It's, there's so many directions you can go when we're talking about horror movies anyway.
Lon Chaney, some of those
old, talking about old black and whites,
yeah. Wolfman and stuff, some of the old, Dracula films.
But when we're talking about movies that go back to the 20s, probably, something like that?
20s and 30s, yeah, they started this early.
And so obviously we've had, as a society, as a species, we've had a fascination with the macabre. And
sure.
I mean, this is, the horror movies, nothing new. But asking you the question this morning, what's your favorite horror movie of all time and why? Give us a call, 474-2427. These folks did. Hi, you're on Rim Country Forum. Good morning. Hi.
The one is, I do remember the hand at the Strand Theater and seeing Cut Barn race down there too. And I remember one of the scariest parts of that was the hand was cut off about halfway up the forearm, and you could see the 2 bones they had little white dots.
Creepy. Yeah.
The one that I remember the most, not so much the details of the movie, but where I saw it, was a Vincent Price movie called The Mask. And it was the first 3D Payson Theater there on Main Street, used to be across from the bowling alley.
Oh man, I tell you, well, when I came here, there was still the Payson Picture Show over there, kind of,
Buffalo.
you know, by the Buffalo.
Yeah.
But still, that, yeah, I've only been here for 40 years. I don't go back too far. But I tell you though, it's interesting. Thanks for the call. It's interesting how, you know, these memories, and that the previous caller there too, talking about that old style theater in New York. I think it was talking about Staten Island. I don't remember exactly, but somewhere back in New York there.
Empire Theater.
Empire Theater back there. Yeah, it reminds me of oh gosh, just like that, the name was the Orpheum Theater down in Phoenix. As far as theaters go, that is the building itself, and they've restored it. And if you ever have a chance to go there for a concert or something, it's still being used today. I just think that's an amazing piece of history that I'm glad that they preserved. But there is something kind of, I don't know, strange. I was going to say Gothic, not really Gothic, but I mean it's an unusual environment to go into if you're watching
old
something.
Theaters are really neat. There's well, there's the Orpheum in Flagstaff.
Right.
You know, then up here in Winslow. You know, Winslow's got an old theater up there too. That's pretty.
Yeah, it'd be a good place for
kind of creepy.
movies,
Yeah, exactly.
They feel that way because they are haunted.
Haunted theaters.
You know, there's a lot of stories in them.
Yeah. Hey, we only got about 5 minutes left here. Back to the phones again. Hi, you're on Rim Country Forum. Good morning. Hi.
Guys, remember the body snatchers?
Ooh, yeah. Wasn't there a couple of words before that? Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That's right.
That's it, where you're afraid to go to sleep, boy, I tell you, because there was an egg in the next room that's going to take over you.
Oh, right.
That was from Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That was like in the 1970s, wasn't it?
Was that Donald Sutherland?
Oh, I'm trying to remember.
I think it was Donald Sutherland in that.
There's been a recent remake of that.
Yeah, they've done it a few times, yeah.
Wow, so it has been remade more than once.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Actually, it might have actually been, you know, the Tingler that we were talking about, that might have been kind of the start of that, you know, with these aliens taking people over. It's the same type of thing was.
Wow.
But yeah, Invasion of Body Snatchers, the pods.
Wow. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for the call. That was interesting.
Yeah, no, those pods, and if you fell asleep, then they'd take over your body, and you'd never wake up.
Yeah. Now the kids are into Tide Pods. Oh, well, that's another talk show another time. 4 minutes in front of 10 o'clock. Looking for your favorite horror movie this morning. You know, it's speaking of old theaters. I was. And I've mentioned this before, but I was able to go see the Great Escape at the old Fox Theater in Phoenix when it first came out. This would have been in I guess that was the late 60s sometime. But I remember my whole family went there, and that's a long movie, but I remember going to the old Fox Theater and watching that. It's kind of sad to see some of those old theaters go by the wayside. There's a lot of good stuff there.
The ones that are really creepy is when you get, you know, when they start out as acting, you know, theaters, you know, where they had a stage and everything on, and then they convert them later for the movies.
Right. And I'm sure you could, you know, they could be used for both pretty easily. You know, Michelle just came in with another list. She said from 1980, The Fog. And,
oh, yeah. Is that Stephen King, too?
It might be.
I think it is Stephen King, yeah.
And from 1981, American Werewolf in London.
Good one.
Yeah.
That was a classic.
I like the song.
And The Birds.
And from 1986.
The Birds, yeah.
Now you're talking.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah. From 1986, The Fly. Yeah, that's another strange one. Yeah. But The Birds, and I've talked about this before, but I have so much fun talking all this with you.
And Psycho.
With The Birds, Alfred Hitchcock. I had a chance here a number of years ago to get to know and to be in the home of Tippi Hedren. And of course there was a lot of, she was kind of blackballed from Hollywood because she didn't want to, you know, dance the mattress mambo with Alfred Hitchcock. And, you know, which it was a sad thing, but really interesting. I can't say that in watching The Birds that her performance was necessarily Academy Award worthy, but that was a movie that freaked me out as a young kid. Just the idea of, all of these birds just menacingly coming after everybody.
Well, that was more the psychological terror.
Right.
And as, as movies have progressed, we've gone more into, special effects, so they've kind of added the, more of the gore and stuff to it.
Right, and of course, there's, always the ever popular boop once in a while, the sudden surprise.
Those have a place, they still do them.
And they sell, people want to go have that experience.
Paranormal Activity.
There you go.
Just, I think they filmed with a little handheld camera.
Yeah, I mean, they spent like $10 and made a gazillion or something.
I think it was like $15,000 they spent to make the movie, and they made $100 million with it.
Wow.
Still the highest return on any film.
And just shot with B-grade stuff. Most of it is kind of that infrared night vision type of stuff that it just adds to the realism.
It was just a college film. It was just a college film project, and it took off.
Kids did good. Well, again, if you want to find out what's playing at the Sawmill Theaters, you can always find out what's playing and when it's playing by just going online to sawmilltheaters.com. You can also give them a call at you can call directly to 595-0876.
Yes.
Local number 928-595-0876. And again, all kinds of good stuff playing. Blinded by the Light starts today at the Sawmill Theaters. And Craig, thanks again for coming in. We'll have everybody here hopefully next week. And in the meantime, we want to say thank you to you for tuning in and listening to Rim Country Forum. It's been brought to you by Banner Payson Medical Center, George Henry Plumbing, Heating and Cooling, At Your Service Cleaning and Tree Service, Anytime Fitness, ITD Group Computer Services, and Hospitality Wireless.